Hello everyone, this is Babamots. Welcome to some more Homeworlds game commentary. This video is going to be scheduled to be released about the time that the first phase of the Great Homeworlds tournament is going to be ending, and the bracket phase will be beginning. I thought I'd give you my personal highlights from round one. Two of my especially important games. This first one is me, Babamots, versus Spalding. Spalding is a relatively new player. Their ELO points have only come up to 100. So I should be the easy victor here. I'm not much of one for going for the Gemini systems, but I take the large yellow Gemini. Yellow is also not my favorite home star color. And Spalding also takes Gemini, but they take medium, so this is actually a microverse game. Spalding takes a red starting ship, which is really quite unusual. I armed myself early with a red ship as well. Spalding's building up some yellow. I keep building green, hoping to put pressure on their green star. Spalding trades for green now, and I decided it was time to go in. If I do a green shopping spree right now, that should actually work. I can overpopulate their star and get my large green back. So they move out. I do my green shopping spree for 2 green builds, overpopulating their star, getting my large green back. And Spalding's down to just 1 star. So my position is looking pretty good. Of course, they've got to trade for green in order to do any more building. I take the medium green. And the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed a problem here, which is that these are 3 green ships, and this is 1 green ship, and this colony is connected to my homeworld. And this fact was not lost on my opponent, who moved a little green into my home and blew up most of what I had. Now, of course, this is 1 ship to 2, which doesn't seem like a big deal, except for the fact that one of Spalding's 2 ships is large, and mine is not. So I've got a big problem. I trade for green to try to do some building. Spalding realizes they don't even need green anymore. They will not need another ship. So they trade for yellow right away. I desperately build a ship. Spalding comes over. I trade. They capture. I build, and they didn't even miss the fact that they could win immediately by sacrificing their large red to capture everything. So that was my game with Spalding. Not my proudest moment. I claim I was distracted by playing lots of backgammon at the time, which is true, but not a good excuse. Don't be like me. Don't distract yourself. Okay, so that would put me down to 1 loss, and if I had lost a second game, then Stevie was going to advance with Seeger. So here's my game with Seeger, which I will review now. This game was essentially for who would advance with Stevie out of the group. If the game were a tie, then I'm not quite sure what would have happened, but it's not a tie. I'll tell you that much. I started with my more comfortable red banker. Seeger took a yellow fortress. I traded for blue right away. Seeger matched me, so I got the first medium and he got one right after. Then traded for medium yellow. And from here on out, I'm pretty much just going to have to commentate because I don't remember exactly what happens. Commentate normally. Alright, we both trade for medium yellows. And then I spread out my blue to have a safer place to build the mediums that are now open. Seeger matches. I build Seeger, though instead of taking the medium blue, builds another yellow back at home. I trade my forward small blue for another yellow, so I've got two places to build yellow now. Seeger pushes their medium yellow forward. I don't have a lot of yellow at my home world, so it's not such a big deal, but against somebody with a yellow home star, I usually like to push my my small yellow forward, keep the medium yellow at home so it can be sacrificed for an overpopulation if they should get a chance to make that mistake. So I build green. Seeger trades out for red. I trade for red as well. Seeger goes for more yellow. I also build more yellow. I've got more places to build yellow than Seeger, though. Seeger pushes forward their little blue, making a shopping spree less of a possibility since that takes a yellow 3 out of the bank. I go ahead and take that medium yellow. Seeger could build the large yellow, but it would get overpopulated. Seeger spreads out their yellows, giving Seeger a better chance of building the Y3 than I have. So I block the build with a trade to red. Seeger builds the medium red. I've actually got more places to build red than Seeger does at the moment, despite my red home star. And I do in fact go for a shopping spree. Seeger can overpopulate these guys, but he'd have to sacrifice his medium red to medium yellow to do it. So is it worth it? I don't know. Let's see if he does it. No, he just spreads out. So this is pretty good. It threatens to overpopulate both these reds and the reds back at my home. The ones at my home being more critical since it includes a star. So I sacrifice a Y2 to move 2 reds, reducing the concentration both in my colony and at home, getting that red 3 out of the bank so that Seeger can't build it, and threatening his colony where Seeger has no medium, so I can capture anybody who doesn't run away. That would have been a pretty good move. I'm a little surprised I restarted my turn. Let's see what I do instead. Okay, I decide to invade with a large instead of the medium. Let's see what Seeger does. They sacrifice the little yellows to run away the red, and now there's nothing to capture. My large is now stranded on an island. I switch to building up the blue. Blue is a color where I've definitely got an advantage. I've got a head start. Seeger can't build blue just yet without sacrificing their mothership. So Seeger builds a G1, possibly with the intention of sacrificing it for a build if I should happen to open up the B3s. No, accidental draw offer. I trade my blue for a green. Since I didn't have any green ships, I think I was worried about getting left behind in the greens too badly. Seeger, even though the larges weren't opened up, sacrificed for the medium blue build. I take the last medium blue. Seeger could take the big blue, but they'd have to sacrifice the mothership for it. Instead, Seeger trades for medium green, so they've got a new place to build. I spread my blues out, making this colony look a little healthier as well, since reds or blues could be built and then traded for yellow to make my large more of a threat. Seeger takes another green ship, starting to put the pressure on the greens some more. My only green ship is at a green star, so I don't want to build anymore, or my fleet will go up in a supernova. But instead, let's see, I sacrifice the G2 for 2 blue builds, including a large. Seeger cheerfully takes the B3, and I sacrifice the Y2 to overpopulate Seeger's blues. So this is looking pretty good for me. I'm up by 2 large ships, though it's a little spooky to have um, your only ship at home match one of your home stars. If Seeger were to start pushing that red forward, then my nervousness would increase drastically. Seeger takes another green, which actually that surprises me just a touch. This would have been a nice investment for later if we both started pursuing yellow, although Seeger's only yellow ship is not anywhere with green, so Seeger needs green to sacrifice, or they could have moved this to a green star to keep building. I trade, let's see, I thought about trading back for that G2 again. Instead, trading for a G3, so coming into the greens in a big way. Seeger spreads out their greens, putting it in sort of an aggressive position where it might overpopulate my G3 and the star. I get aggressive, spreading out my greens, but also creating a threat to capture that lonely little green. But also it puts my large ship at a yellow star where my ship could threaten either of these colonies. So Seeger sacrifices G2 to build 2 greens in that colony, wiping out my G3. So that was maybe not my best plan of attack. Seeger had a pretty ready defense, although it does take Seeger down by a couple more ships. Seeger's only got 5 ships left. I've got 7 and definitely a material advantage, so maybe that wasn't too bad. Though honestly, I know my thoughts, and I'm thinking, oh, I would have preferred to hang on to that G3. Little bit of regret. Okay, so I take a blue. Seeger has no blue anywhere at the moment. Seeger builds a green. I wonder if I'll keep building blue to try to keep that out of his hands. No, I trade for green again, not wanting to get left behind, I suppose. Seeger takes another green. I think building yellow? I'm a little surprised I didn't get into position to either overpopulate Seeger's home or be prepared to build a green, although Seeger has a shopping spree ready in greens to finish cleaning out the green bank as soon as I give him a chance. Yeah, that's my knee-jerk reaction, is to spread out the greens so that if Seeger doesn't take them all at once, I get one. And I'm also threatening to overpopulate Seeger's only large ship, so of course Seeger has to spread out. But now Seeger has the shopping spree set up. Do I try to prevent it? Not looking like it. Just building a blue. Yeah, Seeger still has no blue. Seeger gets the green shopping spree, so now we're a lot more even in material, 1 large to 1. I've got a good red advantage, but Seeger's green advantage is feeling fairly oppressive. So I spread out my blues. Maybe. I thought about it for a while, tried a few different things. I remember making this move, and I remember thinking, oh, please don't invade my colony. I would have been pretty unhappy if Seeger had sent their large green into Cornea. My ships were awkwardly positioned. I can't get my large red back to defend this colony, and even if I did, it would match too many of my reds there. And so I remember feeling uncomfortable about this move and expecting Seeger to invade. But instead, Seeger goes for a factory to get some more yellow. And in truth, Seeger has a good-sized yellow advantage. So that's a little worrisome for me, but I think my fear for this colony was even bigger. Yeah, so I take the B3 defender. Seeger spreads out the yellows, um, hoping to get the last of the yellow ships. Do I trade for a Y3 here? Yeah, I think that's a good choice. But it's funny commenting on my own games because much more than for most people, the move that I think of as my own impulsive response is, in fact, what I end up doing. Um, and my memory of the game probably plays a little bit of a part too. But anyway, that blocks Seeger from getting the Y3 build at least. Seeger spreads out the yellows some more. Maybe a little worried that I'd try to send Priplanus into a supernova. I build the last of the B3s, and I'm feeling pretty good. I've got good material advantage. Seeger pulled one of the B3s out of the bank to make it a star. And Seeger's invading my little colony with that blue. I'm thinking I could defend with one of my large, or I could try counter-invading one of his colonies. Let's see what I pick. Yeah, so I send a large yellow defender. That spreads out my yellows, so I've got a place I could build yellow again if Seeker gives me a chance, and defends from this this medium yellow invader. Seeger takes that medium yellow out of the bank so that I can't build it. But that gives me the chance to capture this medium yellow, which feels pretty good. At that point, I would have all the ingredients for a Doomsday Machine. I would have the 3 blues and the 3 yellows to wipe out Seeger's home stars, as long as I can get them all there in the appropriate order. And I've got a massive red advantage, which feels pretty good. All right. So rather than... Oh, interesting. I'm a little surprised that I didn't just capture that medium yellow. Maybe I still will, but I thought at least about this invasion. The problem, I suppose, with capturing that medium yellow is it puts more red in the bank, and I would really rather that Seeger didn't get any more red, since one of my stars is red. Oh, and that's the other threat. I remember now. Dagobah being a Y3 star, the discovery of the Caprica star wasn't just to keep me from getting the Y2, it was to set Seeger up to get the Y3 ship with the investment sacrifice. So I move in that little blue. I think I commit to this move. Yeah. I do this so that Seeger can't cash in on this investment without capturing my little blue and moving it away. And Seeger can only do that by giving up one of their very precious reds. So Seeger responds by coming after my little red that's not so well defended. My knee-jerk reaction is sacrifice the little red for the Y2 capture. Oh no. Okay, so instead I ended up sacrificing the one in the colony. Seeger can capture this one, but then that's another ship that is preventing Azeroth from servicing as an investment. If I had sacrificed this little red, then Seeger would have sacrificed G3 to rebuild the G3 and rebuild the star as a new R3 ship. So I would have actually lost material by saving this ship. So not so good. Or rather, I would have lost material ground by letting Seeger gain material. And as it is, if Seeger captures this one, then these ships are Gilliganed. They're sort of stranded on an island. So now Seeger sacrifices G2 to build the red that I just sacrificed, and a yellow. All right, so this is this is check. If Seeger were to sacrifice Y2 to move in these two reds, then my mothership, my only home ship, would be destroyed. So I decided to simply reinforce with a large blue. Let's see if I can remember the idea here. If Seeger decides to commit to the invasion of reds to knock out my R3 and my red star, then I've only got the small star left. Our homeworlds are connected, and Seeger only has one red ship left. And for some reason that's not occurring to me, I decided I was okay with that. Why don't I mind that? I vaguely remember that I was going to have an invasion that was going to go really well in that case. Maybe not. Okay, well, I'm not sure why I decided this was okay. Because losing a star is pretty spooky. But Seeger decided not to knock out my star. Instead, they just build some more green, keeping the greens nicely locked down. I sacrifice Y2 to get my red out of there, making it harder for Seeger to overpopulate my red star, and threatening two of Seeger's colonies at once. I think I remember being very proud of this move, that I thought this was a particularly good one. Double threats do feel good. Seeger sacrifices G2. No, they sacrifice the Y2 to evacuate both of their other ships, and they discover one of the remaining greens as a star, so that I still can't get any more green. Seeger's pretty good about keeping the greens locked down, and they're prepared to build that Y2 if I don't. But I definitely want to. I was down to just 2 yellow ships, and I wanted to get back up to 3 so that I would have enough to knock out Seeger's star. Seeger now sacrifices G2. They can rebuild the green and build that yellow as well. So the banker's empty once again. I think my intention at this point is to start pushing my yellows forward in the hopes of knocking out Seeger's yellow star. Once the yellow star is gone, then my blues that are on large stars will be connected, and so I don't have to push forward the blues if I push forward the yellows instead. But of course I'm in the awkward position of having my third blue ship be my mothership, and it's alone. So I'll have to make a large ship swap at some point if I want to use that B3 to overpopulate Seeger's blue star. Looking at a few different options, yeah, I commit to pushing that yellow forward. I think pulling the large yellow back would have been okay as well. It would give movement power to my red 3 so that I could invade, say, Caprica, but it also would have put this blue star back in the bank so I could build and have a third blue piece that is not my mothership, which would have been nice. Seeger finally decides to capture that little red. Rather than, I suppose this was sort of an empty threat at the LV-426 colony. I didn't want to give up any of my red in order to capture that little yellow. Just sort of throwing chaff in the air to make that invasion, I suppose. All right. So I brought my yellow back to give movement power to my red 3. Seeger anticipates my invasion of Caprica by moving a green ship out. I don't remember what happens from here. I move the red forward. So that's a real threat. because I wouldn't have to sacrifice anything to capture him now. But instead I move to a medium star. It's annoying having ships at these medium stars, the islands, that are not connected to either homeworld. Um, but I think here I just wanted to get it to here so that I could move it into Hera to threaten to start gobbling things up. Seeger retreats to a green star where if I were to invade this star, then Seeger could start moving greens into that system to blow up my valuable red invader. Instead, I go down to Hera, threatening to start capturing these ships, but also abandoning the Y2 star. Probably I'd like to build that. Um, I guess what I would say here about my having a little bit of a material advantage, having more large ships than my opponent, is that my opponent was pretty spread out. They had their ships at many small systems, and by chasing them, I am trying to drive them away from those small systems. I build the stars so that they can't be rediscovered, and I'm forcing my opponent to group up. Because when they group up, they're more invulnerable. They're more vulnerable to my invasions. So Seeger here decides to sacrifice the Y2 to move their red over into Hera, blowing up the large invader as well as a couple of their red ships. So Seeger's now down to just one red ship, which feels good for me, and has less yellow. Only has small yellows in particular. So a very constricting position to put your opponent in is to keep them away from the medium and large yellow ships. Because with only smalls, they can only move one at a time, either using their smalls or stars. And it's almost impossible to win without a medium or larger yellow sacrifice. So I think I'm going to take both of these. I sacrifice the G2 to build both of those medium yellows. I'm just happen to think that this, again, how different this commentary is from most of them, because when I'm guessing what other people are thinking, it's pretty different from when I can report what I was actually thinking. I don't know which of those is more valuable. Let me know what you think. Maybe I should be doing more of my own games. I don't commentate my own games very often. All right, let's see. Seeger's turn now. They trade for blue. I think they'd like to keep all the blue pieces out of my hand as much as they can, and I have no green at all at this point. I pick to rebuild red. Seeger also goes for red. If I can keep the red out of Seeger's hands, then my star is in less danger, and of course I'll have more red to sacrifice for these sweet invasions I'm planning on doing. Okay, so looks like I'm thinking of invading the Hera colony. I do. Let's see if Seeger decides to run away. They decide to save the yellow. I'm not sure if that's the best call, since Seeger just about has me locked out of green, but if I capture this green, then I won't be so much. Yeah, I do take that little green. Let's see what Seeger picks. Sacrifice the G3 for green and red. Okay. So Seeger at this point has a good hold on the green economy, has 2 factories in fact, but there's not much left to build. Seeger has a decent amount of red, but it's all in the same system right now, which is dangerous, as I think we're about to see. So I push forward my medium red, which is disguising a fatal threat for a simple colony invasion. So the obvious problem here is that Seeger can lose one of their 2 remaining yellow ships, if this gets captured. The bigger problem, though, is that with a Y3 sacrifice, I can knock out all of the red that Seeger has and get a large red ship into Seeger's home. And the problem here is, as it happens, Seeger didn't notice all of that. Just runs away with the little yellow. And so I Y3 sacrifice, knock out Seeger's red, move in my big red. Seeger can't capture, and it's pretty much all over. Seeger trades for red, I capture a red. So importantly, Seeger could not trade two of their ships for red at once. If they'd been able to, they might have been able to make a draw, but they only have a B1 available. They can't produce more than one red ship at a time at their homeworld. So I can just capture them as they come up and start sacrificing the reds that I already have if the population gets too high. So Seeger goes for G3 sacrifice for some builds. Sort of thinking maybe that having more large ships would help somehow. No, I mean, I think Seeger knew he'd lost at that point, but it might seem like getting two large ships at your homeworld is close to being a defense when your opponent moves in with a large red. But if you don't have any red anywhere else, then even if Seeger had done that build a turn earlier, rather than trading for red first, it wouldn't have been enough. I would have captured one of those greens, and then Seeger can try to get red. But then I just capture the other green, and I'm still in good shape. All right, Seeger then sacrifices for a couple more builds. I sacrifice for the captures, and that's the game. Anyway, so that was a very high stakes game for me that I had to win as recompense, as restitution, as redemption for having lost the game to Spalding that I think I should not have lost. But I suppose Spalding was probably pretty happy to have won that game, possibly unexpectedly. Anyway, that's those were the most exciting games from my first round, I thought. If you have a game from the tournament or any of your other plays that you would like to hear my thoughts on, you can use the form, the Google form, that is linked in the video description to submit those to me. And I definitely do look at those, and I have given commentary on all of the games of those that I could find the game. In one case, somebody didn't provide the game number or the link, so I couldn't find it. But yeah, send me games. Otherwise, I'll just keep picking games from the tournament, whatever game happens to have been played most recently when I sit down to make a video, and occasionally my own games like this that I thought were reasonably interesting. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.